Reviews are in, and Smashville is a smash hit. As you see, downtown Nashville has bang fever tonight, and it's showing on nearly every block of Broadway.
And Clark, who has wheels, breaks loose. He will score!
There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle!
The Nashville Predators are going to the Stanley Cup Final!
What makes a city? Is it the energy? Is it the passion? Is it the people? Is it the spirit? In Nashville, Tennessee, it's all of those things. And to understand what makes this city what it is today, you have to know how far it's come.
All roads lead to Nashville, you're never far away. All roads lead to Nashville, Music City, USA.
In the early 1990s, before Nashville was at the top of the charts, it was a relatively quiet town, known primarily for country music. And downtown Nashville, well, it was a shell of what it would become.
I mean, there were some honky-tonks, which we still have, but you could walk up 2nd Avenue and not see a soul. It was full of, dare I say it, some colorful nightlife.
There were a lot of adult bookstores, peep shows. We like to say the main customers were probably derelicts and winos, but it was a very different place in the 90s.
To set Nashville on a different course, it would take someone with big ideas and the resolve to shake things up. Enter Phil Bredesen, a business executive, entrepreneur, and mayoral candidate originally from the Northeast who would forever change the fortunes of this quiet southern city.
What I've been saying is, I'd like for us to get in the leadership position and people from around the country, to look at Nashville and say, well, how did they ever get it so good over there? And I think we can do that. I mean, we have the resources here and the people and the willingness to do it. And what it's going to take now is some leadership.
He really didn't run on revitalizing downtown, but I think he ran on just sort of revitalizing hope for our city. And he had a core philosophy that if you invested in downtown, in the heart of the city, then that prosperity would grow.
One of the things I really wanted to accomplish was just to have a vital urban center. I mean, I think great cities have got great downtowns, and the trick was to try to find, what could bring people down there, what could make that kind of a renaissance happen. We were Music City. Entertainment in a larger sense probably was something you could build downtown around. And obviously sports is a part of the picture when it comes to entertainment.
Bredesen's business acumen and vision were a breath of fresh air for Nashville. However, it might have come as a surprise to people who knew him when he created a sports council in 1992, after seeing the impact amateur sporting events had on Indianapolis.
This is a guy who couldn't tell you the difference between a football and a basketball, but the thing he got is he understood that business angle. He understood the economics, the potential, and what it could do for the city spirit.
The Sports Council was my attempt, I think, in one of my early budgets to just get something going. I think of it as venture capital. I think the appropriation initially was like $50,000 or something like that.
The Sports Council was a reach, a thought that maybe we could put a flag in the ground and start becoming something of a presence for amateur sports. Just sort of spawned from there.
With a minuscule budget, little resources, and no staff, Bredesen handed the reins of the Sports Council over to Jenny Hannon and tasked her with exploring events to bring to Nashville.
She wasn't somebody I'd known ahead of time. I liked the fact that she had been involved herself in amateur sports. And when I talked to her, she just seemed to have a sense of what it was going to take to get events to come use the facilities in Nashville.
When we started the Sports Council, we were very limited in the places where we could hold events. Mayor Bredesen called us into his office in February of '93 and said,
I want to build an arena for our city. I need you all to lobby the Metro Council and make a case for the fact that we need an arena in Nashville.
The big push was not to put it downtown. What people wanted was something out on the outskirts of the city in a green field somewhere where two interstates came together or something. That would have been a lot easier selling in the council and to the public. But of course, for me, the whole point of it was to get people downtown, and so we stuck with that.
There were real mixed feelings. There were people who thought we're selling our souls. We're going to spend all this money for what? This arena's going to be sitting here and doing nothing.
It was only a 6-month period that we weren't sure if the arena was going to build. Really, in February, Mayor Bredesen proposed that we were going to build this arena. We worked with the Metro Council, and in June, they approved it.
When people have a vision, when people put aside their differences and roll up their sleeves and work together, very good things happen.
We certainly did not have any permanent tenants in mind at the time, and it didn't really have even the glimmer of the possibility of a professional team like the Predators coming in. But it seemed like at that time we were Music City, USA, and you had to go down toward Murfreesboro to go to a concert. The arena was actually originally designed to be workable for sports, but to be more than anything else an entertainment venue downtown.
The arena would give Nashville a signature venue in the heart of downtown. It would also give the Sports Council a brand new bargaining chip when pursuing events for the city.
One of the very first events we tried to get was the USA Gymnastic National Championships, and we were one of the final 4 cities. We promised them the arena would be done in June of '96. It will absolutely be done before the Olympics in Atlanta. They didn't choose Nashville because they said they were worried that the arena would not be finished. And in hindsight, they were exactly right. We didn't finish the arena until December of '96. But in the meantime, we were also bidding on the '97 Figure Skating Championships. And the Figure Skating Championships were in February of '97. They voted to hold it in Nashville. And that was a real pivotal moment for us in terms of amateur sports.
Bringing the National Figure Skating Championships to Nashville was a huge coup for the city. And by sheer luck, or good fortune, it also helped Nashville land Scott Ramsey, a man who would become instrumental in shaping the future of Nashville sports.
Scott and I, our families go back very far, and so I reached out to Scott and said, would you be interested in coming to run these? And he did.
In 1995, we moved down here. At that time, Jenny and the Sports Council had just landed the 1997 U.S. Figure Skating Championships. It was going to be the first sporting event in the arena. It was going to be a major undertaking.
With the arena under construction and the Sports Council preparing to host the first event of this magnitude in Nashville's history, the city was poised to ease comfortably into this new era of sports. However, a phone call from Houston, Texas soon changed everything.
About 3 weeks ago, we were contacted by the Houston Oilers and asked to discuss with them the possibility of their relocating their team to Tennessee, to Nashville specifically.
The mayor says the Houston Oilers have done a lot of research on Nashville and they are looking to leave Houston.
We were playing in a 30-year-old baseball stadium, the Astrodome. We showed up there 10 days a year to play football games. And when it became clear that we were not going to stay in the Astrodome, that we wanted our own facility, we proposed a number of other things beginning in '93 and '94 to sort of find out who might be interested, if anyone, in us relocating.
I have to admit, the first call, I didn't take it very seriously. We said that we would certainly explore it. I said to him, well, okay, I'll go down this road with you if you're willing to sign a document that says while we're trying to work it out, you won't negotiate with anybody else, including the city of Houston. And he thought about it a little bit and said, okay, I'll sign that. And that was the point at which the thing really started to take off.
The Oilers were playing a preseason game in Knoxville. It got out that this was really serious. And I remember being so intelligent to go on the air and say, don't believe this, hell will freeze over before we get an NFL team.
Houston lost to the Washington Redskins 16-13, and players say news that they may move to Tennessee was somewhat of a distraction in the game.
We don't have any control of what Bud Adams do. It's his team. He want to do what he want to do.
We flew down to Houston. Bud Adams gave us an opportunity to interview. First we go to interview him, and he invites us in, and your head is spinning. This can't be real. He's just playing us.
I think the most decisive moment in those early days was when Bud Adams actually appeared at the Wild Horse for really a de facto announcement that they were coming to Nashville.
He said he wanted to have an event for the business leadership in town down at the Wild Horse. He didn't disappoint him. I mean, but greeted him all. He stood right up on the stage and said, I'm bringing this team to Nashville, and the mayor and I are working out all the details. And
Nashville and the state of Tennessee, including Memphis and Chattanooga and your other great cities in the state, is a damn good football state, cities and everything else.
Those details included selling tens of thousands of PSLs and season tickets, and the hard part, selling the community on building an NFL stadium right on the heels of a new downtown arena being constructed.
The football team, the NFL, has some very vocal opponents. A number of the churches were very opposed, and that's where that whole referendum thing came out of, was out of the churches. They wanted people in their churches and not tailgating on Sunday mornings. There were also a lot of people that I saw a little bit of during the arena, but much stronger about, is this the kind of city we are? People say, we're not trying to be like Atlanta. Don't try to make us like Atlanta.
Some members of the council had gotten enough signatures that we needed to take it to a vote, and so then we launched the campaign of NFL Yes. When it came to the referendum, we are going to get this passed. We are absolutely going to get this passed.
I've got a lot of yellow stickers. I've got a lot of buttons.
That we had over 30,000 volunteers, active volunteers in this campaign. In my 35 years in politics, I haven't seen 10% of that in a governor's race, much less a city referendum. So it was quite a phenomenon.
No more yeses and there's no more no's. We are all Nashvillians again, and please help me do that.
To reach a destination, you have to clear some hurdles. And in the end, Nashville cleared a big one when the referendum passed and the NFL was officially headed to Music City.
The NFL Yes vote was a defining moment for the city.
It's the biggest sporting group there is, whether you like them or not. The NFL is the biggest. We're one of 32.
There were people, by the way, who voted against us coming and who turned right around and bought PSLs. I've run into dozens of them over the years. It's sort of all is well that ends well story.
As the Oilers planned their exit from Houston, the new downtown arena was scrambling to be ready for the rapidly approaching U.S. Figure Skating Championships.
It was a huge event, and it was a huge event because we had the Christmas opening, but we hadn't had an event in the arena, and so that was really the first event, and it was in February, so it was 8 weeks after we'd opened it.
We are inside the Nashville Arena for our coverage of the 1997 State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships.
Throughout history of the Sports Council now for 25 years, and in most cities, you kind of need a quarterback to manage all the necessary partners and stakeholders necessary to put on a major event. This event kind of laid that foundation for us to work forward from there.
The success of the Figure Skating Championships validated Bredesen and the Sports Council's bet that major sporting events in a world-class arena could be successful in Nashville. But once the event ended, the question still remained: who or what was going to fill the arena on a regular basis?
So we designed the arena with a couple of tiers of suites already in place. It got some attention around. The first inquiries we got were much more about, let's go cozy up to Nashville and maybe our city will do the right thing by us. And we had quite several experiences with that. In the end, an opportunity came up for an expansion team in the NHL, and we figured that was a good one to go for, and we did.
I didn't know a lot about Nashville before we went through the expansion process. I suppose, like most people, I thought it was all about country music. It really wasn't until Craig Leopold with then Mayor Bredesen came forward and said, we'd really like to have a team for this great new arena that we built downtown, and we'd like to tell you more about Nashville. That's when things really caught our interest.
When we started talking about hockey, there was a lot of skepticism. I think we overcame it. Part of my problem was I knew nothing about hockey. In fact, I thought I'd blown it when I was in a meeting with Gary Bettman, and I referred somehow to quarters or something like that in the hockey, and he just stopped and said, we're going to take you to a hockey game.
As we began to study Nashville in the expansion process, we learned that this was a vibrant city with a substantial population, unserved by professional sports at the major league level, and a population that we believed would be passionate about the opportunity to be part of professional sports in general and hockey in particular.
Ultimately, the NHL bet on Nashville.
The board unanimously approved the recommendation of the expansion committee. Nashville will join the league in 1998-99.
Nashville now had 2 professional franchises on the way. And while sports had played a role in Bredesen's vision for the city, no one had foreseen this happening, especially not this quickly. For all the excitement around Nashville's new teams, there was an equal amount of disdain for the Oilers in Houston. Stuck in a toxic environment, the team needed to move. But with no stadium in Nashville, they settled on Memphis as their temporary home.
Dismal is about the only way to describe fan turnout at the Liberty Bowl Sunday. Not even 18,000 people came to cheer the Oilers in a stadium that holds 62,000 people. ESPN sports commentators couldn't resist the wisecracks.
Only 17,000 showed up in the Liberty Bowl, giving new meaning to the cry, "Give me liberty or give me death."
There were a lot about the logistics that were never going to work well. And I think everyone knew that it was not going to be a perfect outcome or a perfect solution.
We had to fly from Nashville to Memphis to play our game. So every week was an away game. We had nothing to look forward to. Every week was something different. And it grew tiresome after a while.
I knew how mad and upset the Memphis people were. I know after we got the team and I was trying to sell the idea of people buying suites, I went down to speak and I got booed when I walked on the stage. So I never thought that there was going to be much support down there, just something we had to get through.
With little support in Memphis, the Vagabond Oilers were able to move to Nashville a year early, playing their home games at Vanderbilt. Meanwhile, a few miles down the road, the Predators were preparing to launch their inaugural season in the Nashville arena.
Well, I really felt that coming to a new expansion team, to a new market, was a challenge that I wanted. And I thought it was going to be a neat experience because whatever happened in building the franchise, good or bad, I was going to have my handprints all over it, from stuff off the ice to, of course, all of the hockey things on the ice. And that was the challenge I was looking for.
Part of that challenge was selling the sport of hockey in a non-traditional market. To help solve that problem, the Predators hired Jenny Hannon to head up their community relations department and spread the hockey gospel across the region. Hannon's departure left the Sports Council without a leader, but they quickly filled that role with a familiar face in Scott Ramsey. One of his first goals was to solidify a college bowl game for Nashville, an idea that had been brewing for some time.
Mayor Bredesen at that time really challenged us with trying to figure out more than 10 NFL uses a year, what we're going to use the stadium for. And the bowl game, we're going to turn this week between Christmas and New Year's into something that's pretty special and bring a lot of people in, as well as a 3.5 hour infomercial for Nashville and ESPN.
As Ramsey and the Sports Council prepared for the inaugural Music City Bowl, Nashville readied itself to host NHL hockey for the first time.
Go Predators! The opening night of the Predators in the NHL was a very exciting time for everybody and for the city, and a lot of people knew nothing about hockey.
Probably the best part of all is to just sort of look at all the naysayers from other places in the NHL and my friends up north in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Canada who said this will never happen, and look at us now.
The first game was a lot like, what are they doing? What does this penalty mean? So it took us a while to learn the sport, but I think from the outset, the city embraced it.
98 was when it all just started to explode, and I'm sitting there with a talk show talking sports, and it's like a gift being handed to me.
With the debut of the Predators and Oilers within a few weeks of each other, Nashville's professional sports debut was a rousing success. Now, it was the Sports Council's turn to kick off their new showcase event, the Music City Bowl, which featured a marquee matchup between college football powers Alabama and Virginia Tech.
We had a choice, and we chose to come to this bowl game. Our fans could travel to it. First one, there was some excitement about that. Coming to a great city like Nashville.
Well, first of all, the morning of the game, it was 65 degrees, the sun was out. In the month of December in this city, you never know what you're gonna get.
Right before game time, it started sleeting. And I remember going up on the roof to look at this, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, this is a disaster.
I remember literally we were within an hour of kickoff. Half the stadium bank of lights weren't going to come on, and the ESPN producer really wasn't that happy in my ear at that time. Virginia Tech couldn't really warm up much on that side of the field. We had ice in the stands and people trying to get up to their seats. There were a lot of moments there was this could be one and done.
It was miserable to cover, to be out there, but it was a bowl game. It was part of what the Sports Council said, here's what we've done. In the back of our minds, we're fascinated by the fact that they're literally landing some stuff that's really pretty cool to come into the city.
The Hokies win it 38-7.
Everything about that game that I remember was good, including the weather.
The Music City Bowl capped a landmark year for Nashville in terms of sports, growth, and exposure. But there was still more to come. With the opening of the stadium for the newly renamed Tennessee Titans, 1999 was when Nashville really took its reputation as a sports town to the next level.
Oh, God, I mean, it was love at first sight. The day that we unveiled the new uniforms and the logo, it was packed. People were outside. I mean, it was like thousands of people there for the unveiling of it, and they were excited. And you could feel the energy in the city shift, like, boy, we can't wait to see the Titans play this year.
After 3 seasons of turmoil and anxiousness, the Tennessee Titans were finally ready to take the field in their own stadium in front of a sellout crowd.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I remember everything about that day. It was as much emotion as I had ever been around for the people, not just on the field, but the people in the press box. Everybody understood what a huge moment this was for Nashville. We had done it in the preseason, granted, but this is the real thing. These are the ones that count.
I remember at the beginning of the game, the stands were just packed at the warm-ups. And we hadn't experienced that at all during my first 2 years with the Titans/Oilers.
We needed to give the public something to be excited about, which in that first year, the team was able to do. Start off 3-0, get to 6-1, get to 9-2, end 13-3, and then get a chance to host a playoff game, which of course turns out to be the Music City Miracle game.
Do the Titans have a miracle left in them in what has been a magical season to this point? If they do, they need it now. Christie kicks it high and short. Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's
40,
got something.
50.
He's got it.
40.
He's got it.
20. 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle. A miracle for the Titans.
The Music City Miracle made Nashville a big league city in not just football, but in every sport. It showed an entire fan base and an entire nation, that this was a place where they play serious professional sports, and then went to the Super Bowl and played one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time in terms of excitement. So from that moment on, everybody knew Nashville had professional sports.
Thanks to the Titans' run to the Super Bowl, Nashville's star was on the rise, and the Sports Council took full advantage, hosting the second Music City Bowl, this time in the Adelphia Coliseum. However, the bowl soon encountered sponsorship issues, leaving its future in doubt.
It's like this may be a little more challenging than we thought. I think we fought that for the first 8 or 9 years, probably. Just stabilizing the finances. In today's world, you got to have a tile sponsor. Gaylord and Colin Reed really anchored us through some really transitional kind of times in there.
While the Bowl's sponsor struggles greatly affected what the Sports Council was doing in the early 2000s, all was not lost. In fact, during that time, Ramsey and the Sports Council were able to line up a string of events that would bolster the economy and perception of the city for years to come.
It just piled on to Titans and the Predators' head. Now all of a sudden you've got a city that's got enough of a profile where Scott and his crew could go out and start getting events and probably not having to beg.
I've been a big believer that what makes cities attractive is that they're a place where events are occurring, where things are happening. It's an interesting place where you want to be. And the Sports Council has helped Nashville make enormous progress in that area. I mean, the Nashville Marathon, which has grown over the course of the years into one of the best marathons in the country.
Having what we like to refer to as the Country Music Marathon in town would bring us oftentimes some of our largest revenue days of the entire year.
I'm so impressed by what they've done because they've thought outside of the box. They're the ones who thought beyond us and said, here's the potential of what we can do. And then we're smart enough on how to market it.
The success of the Sports Council, the Titans, and Predators was the perfect combination for the city throughout the early to mid-2000s. Just as Mayor Bredesen had envisioned, the arena became the heartbeat of downtown Nashville, bringing tens of thousands of fans every week into the city for concerts, events, and hockey. But as quickly as that combination came together, it threatened to all fall apart when the Predators were sold to a group of outside investors who are less than forthcoming about their plans for the team.
It's time for somebody else to give it a try.
Basically, when I walked into office, first thing waiting for me to work on was keeping the Predators in Nashville. And for me, it was an easy decision that we wanted the Predators to stay.
Well, those are difficult times and years. And when you decided to sell the team, then we kind of got into almost a non-competitive situation where we had to let our best players go. A lot of that work to get us up to a competitive situation kind of took us down again. This is not fun. I mean, again, it affects everything. People talk about the franchise moving, and we went through all of that.
When the investors threatened to move the team to Canada, the NHL and a group of civic leaders stepped in to try to keep the team in Nashville and the city from going backwards.
Forget the hockey part of it for a minute. We had this arena that needed traffic because traffic fuels all the other stuff. Well, if you take away your main tenant, that thing becomes a white elephant.
On July 19th, 2007, fans held a rally in front of the downtown arena to show their support for the Predators and for the future of Nashville.
I'll never forget that sign, "Get your damn hands off my team," that was passed up to Governor Bredesen and Andrea Conti. That probably sold the people who became the crux of the local ownership group on the idea that this would not be a bad investment.
The good news is we're past that. We survived that. We got saved by some local owners, brought in some good guys on the business side with Sean Henry, who's now our president and COO. And right now, those seem like a long, long time ago, and it seemed like a distant memory.
With the Predators' future in Nashville solidified, Nashville and the Sports Council continue to look forward, putting together one of their most ambitious bids ever for the right to host a 2014 NCAA Women's Final Four. And just like the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, this bid also depended on having a facility that wasn't yet built.
From a sports standpoint, you're limited on what you can attract, bid on, and host based on the requirements of the event. The Music City Center specifically was a requirement to have the Women's Final Four. The timing worked out, and actually Mayor Dean made a pretty strong promise to the NCAA committee. It'll be done, it'll be open. Everybody walked out like, I'm glad he said that, not us.
We said, we'll have this done, and we'll have more hotel rooms for you, and it'll all work. And obviously it worked, but there was some nervousness involved in that.
After surviving the potential loss of the Predators, the economic recession in the late 2000s, and the loss of the Music City Bowl title sponsor, the Sports Council rebounded in 2010, hosting their first SEC men's basketball tournament since 2006, as well as holding one of the most successful Music City Bowls ever. It seemed no matter the obstacle, Nashville might bend, but it would not break.
That was certainly a milestone event in the 20-year history of the game. I still think that may be the largest attendance ever in Nissan Stadium, and it was the first year with a new sponsor in Franklin American Mortgage. So it was a great way to kind of kick off and create some great results for them and the city.
The 2010 Music City Bowl was just one in a long line of successful events the Sports Council has hosted with the Southeastern Conference. The strength of that relationship was an important factor when the SEC announced Nashville as the primary home of the SEC men's basketball tournament through 2026.
Knowing a lot of my peers in other cities, if you all boiled it down and everybody was honest, there's always that one or two events that just fits your city perfect. And the SEC men's basketball tournament fits our city perfect.
I don't know if you can beat Nashville because of what they have with Broadway,
the hotels now around that area, and then to have Bridgestone Arena right there. If you're a fan and you're out looking to have a good time and enjoy a game, it's very hard for me to think about anybody who has it as good as Nashville.
It just makes for a terrific environment. Once you find something that works as well as that does, you have a tendency to stick with it for a long time.
The vibrancy of the city is the base asset that I think has grown in value and prestige and recognition. And what the Sports Council's done is take advantage of that. You could have a great city, but without the ability to bring people together to accomplish mutual goals, that great city doesn't host the kind of events in the way that Nashville is able to host events.
The reputation Nashville had built as a vibrant, welcoming destination played an integral part in the success of its first ever national championship event, the 2014 Women's Final Four.
We received wonderful feedback on the Women's Final Four, being told it was, if not one of the best Final Four that had ever been held. The feedback that we got is that Nashville was just a terrific location for people to be.
Part of the reason it's so successful in Nashville is you have this campus downtown that is designed to host people. It really enhances anyone's visit to Nashville.
The Women's Final Four showed the country just what the Sports Council and the city of Nashville could accomplish. They'd soon get a chance to top that when the city was awarded the 2016 NHL All-Star Weekend.
It was really Mayor Dean. Mayor Dean really wanted the NHL All-Star Game here. Along with the ownership of the Predators, they were the real impetus to kind of go into the room with the NHL owners and convince them to come to Nashville. Certainly we in Nashville wanted to do something a little off the charts, and we felt like not only the entertainment industry, but our downtown, we could really kind of create something that was maybe way above expectations of what they had typically done.
It's unbelievable. I mean, when we're up on stage, just seeing the people, how far back it went, and all those people here, it's unreal.
You know, you feel like a rock star here.
I don't think there's ever been a better setup for the All-Star Game, so it's pretty amazing.
We had guests from all over the world, and they were absolutely rhapsodic about what a great time they were having. Whether it was the events in the arena, the convention center, being on Broadway, it was just truly a party for the ages.
When we worked with the Sports Council and putting together our bid for the All-Star Game, and then produced the best All-Star Game in NHL history, everyone knows if you work with our Sports Council, you're going to create something special. It becomes a living commercial for the city.
The council works really closely with the mayor's office. They also work very closely with Butch and his team at the CVC. And I got to tell you, those partnerships are what make Nashville different. You'll hear this from folks who are planning events. One thing that they say all the time is it's easy to bring an event to Nashville because everybody talks to each other. And that's the real difference.
When people point to what makes Nashville so special, it's this collaborative spirit. It's what's helped the Sports Council succeed over the past 25 years and what helped turn Phil Bredesen's vision for Nashville into a reality. It's also what transformed the Predators' 2017 Stanley Cup playoff run into a once-in-a-lifetime moment that turned Nashville into the center of the sports universe.
And take a look, Sky 5 is flying above it all right now. Music City is alive with Preds pride tonight.
When we're the lead story on every morning show across all networks and the evening shows and all sports networks are talking about what's going on in Nashville, it wasn't just a sports story anymore. It became a community story.
It doesn't happen anywhere else but Smashville, baby. It's all about Smashville. It's Pred pride. You feel the electricity, I bear the electricity.
We had police, fire, public works, CMA, Sports Council, CVC, and ourselves saying, okay, what do we do? How do we build it bigger?
Let's go, Preds, come on.
You couldn't even move down on Lower Broad and you say, yeah, this is what it was supposed to be like. There's 40,000 people down here, and on this night 20 years ago there would have been 17 period, not 17,000, and yeah, it makes you feel good.
Well, there's no room to move in Nashville tonight, inside or outside. 17,000 plus inside the Bridgestone Arena, 100,000 outside.
As a business owner, when I see my logos, my neon signs on national television, you cannot imagine the pride and the excitement and knowing where we came from 25 years ago and where we are now in stature and in the world of sports and entertainment, it makes you proud. It makes you excited.
I think sports kind of crosses over. They had everybody cheering for the Stanley Cup run of the Predators this year. So I think sports kind of breaks down a lot of social barriers, and I think we've seen that in the city. And I think it certainly played a major role in our city's growth, and I think it will be in the future as well.
We love you. Stay tuned.
To look to Nashville's future, you'd have to look to the past, and then Mayor Bredesen's vision for what this city could be and the role sports played in that vision. And that's a question that continues to be asked. What kind of city can Nashville become, and what role will sports play?
I think all of us are excited about what's coming with soccer. The ballpark we have downtown, the AAA ballpark, it's fantastic. So now we have all these venues, and we can get the SEC tournament in men's and women's basketball. We can get NCAA regionals. We have a bowl game. We have the opportunity to host World Cup soccer. I just think it's going to continue to explode because this has now been the fabric of what people do.
You know, I think over the 25 years we've been able to change from trying to get any event we could to get our name out there and a reputation to a transitional period where we were on the second and third kind of bid cycle and we were starting to establish a reputation to now having a reputation as a great destination and being able to maintain and strategically kind of bid on things.
The Sports Council has undoubtedly been key in changing that reputation and has helped spur a period of growth like Nashville has never seen, bringing in over $800 million in economic impact to the area. Not bad for an initial $50,000 investment.
There's no question in my mind the Sports Council has played a disproportionate role in the successes we're seeing right now in Nashville.
All those things put Nashville in a more and more prominent position nationally. In that way, we're a little window into what's going on here in terms of why the city is attractive in so many ways.
You know, being from New York, a lot of my family are the ugly New Yorkers, and they'll call and say, you were on NBC or Sports Center talked about you, or Good Morning America, and I laugh and say, you just don't get it. The problem is they have to come here to get it, and then they don't leave.
The thing I'm most proud of is the reputation of the city. People who have come here for their events in whatever form or fashion, whether you're a fan, a player, or a media member or volunteer, you've had a great experience.
As the Nashville Sports Council continues and gets stronger, I am excited to see what it's going to look like in 25 years compared to what it looks like now. I think it will be as big a difference in 25 years as the last 25 years have been. And that may sound hard for some to believe, but I just think this community has that kind of potential.